If you're looking for off-market properties to either wholesale, rehab, use creative financing, this video is for you. Hey, it's Chris Goff, and I'm going to show you how simple it is to find these properties, as well as building a direct mail campaign to market them off-market. What does that even mean? Well, it's quite simple. These are properties that are not advertised for sale and where the owner owns the home but doesn't live there. This is what we call an absentee owner. Now, if you're just getting started, this may sound crazy because why would somebody sell their property if it isn't advertised for sale? I will tell you what someone told me over 20 years ago. Just because it's not listed for sale doesn't mean that they don't want to sell. You see, investing in real estate is all about timing. And I'm not talking about if the market is up or down. I'm talking about situations. Owner situations, such as tired landlords, divorce, behind on taxes, behind on payments, need money. Maybe they can't afford to fix up the home and put it on the market. And when you market these owners at the same time they're going through one of these situations, you're more likely to get the deal, and usually at a good price. Think about it. If the property is listed for sale in the MLS, and in this market it's probably overpriced because of supply and demand. Most areas are seeing values go through the roof because of the underdevelopment over the last 10 years. So why would anyone buy at the peak of the market and assume they'll make a profit? Now, don't get me wrong, there are some good deals on the MLS, but the competition is high. This is where off-market properties are much easier to find, and you'll have a better chance of getting a great deal. I'll be using REIPro software to pinpoint the best absentee owner opportunities, along with building a direct mail campaign. You'll learn what search filters I use, what postcards work best. So let's jump in. So now we're here in REIPro, and this is our dashboard. And one thing I want to point out to you is we need to really understand what that median home price is in your local market. So here at the top, you can see I have several locations. As I click these different locations, you're going to see these numbers change. In my example today, we're going to use Hendersonville, Tennessee. Now, right here in the middle, you're going to see $456,000. So this is the median home price. And I want you to think about, generally speaking, if you're wholesaling real estate, I want to take this median home price and go below. If you're, say, doing lease options, I may want to take the median price and go a little bit above. And that's kind of the price points for these different strategies. And although you could do these strategies in different price points, the majority of deals are going to fall within those limits. So now that we have that number, we can now jump into REIPro and actually start searching for some absentee owners. So now I'm in REIPro. I'm going to go ahead and select my location, Hendersonville. And then what are we looking for? So you can see here at the top, absentee owners. We have just over almost 2,600 absentee owners. Now, if I just click this, you could stack this list to further pinpoint. But in this training, I just want to stick with absentee owners, and I'm going to click search. So like I said here, you're going to have almost 2,600 leads. We might want to filter this list down. I want to go over to the top here, and you're going to see the filters button. As soon as I click on that, again, you do have the opportunity to stack this list. In this example, we're not going to do that. I want to go down to property types, and just for me, I'm going to look for single family homes. So I'm going to uncheck these other types of properties. I'm going to scroll down to property values. Now, keep in mind that that median price is $456. So like I said, I want to be underneath that. Now, I don't want to go too far low to where maybe it's a war zone. So, you can wholesale properties in the war zone areas, but just generally speaking, you may want to stay out of that. Then I'm going to go to my max. I'm just going to set 500. You could type in specific numbers here as well. I'm just, rounding up. So 2 to 500,000 is going to be my ideal marketplace when I'm wholesaling. Like I said, if you're doing lease options, you're looking for a different price point, be sure to change those numbers. Now, one thing, if I'm wholesaling, I need to have equity in the property. So I'm going to go over to my potential equity percentage, and I'm going to say I have to have at least 40% in equity. Otherwise, it may not be a good deal. So I'm also going to exclude any HELOCs and any reverse mortgages. As I scroll down to the property attributes, you can put in bedrooms and bathrooms as needed. To me, it's not that big of a deal. I can work with a 2.2 or a 2.1. Again, assuming that the numbers are going to work for me. So, generally some investors say, hey, I only buy 3.2. Well, put in a 3.2 here. One thing I do want to go to, and again, you have square feet, lot size, year built. I want to go to the last sold date. I don't want to target market somebody that just bought a property. So I'm going to go and maybe go 2 years. So they've owned it for at least 2 years. I'm going to scroll down. You could go to the owner types. I'm going to select individual, and that's going to remove any kind of company-owned properties in my list. It's not a bad thing. It's just, I like to deal with the person that's actually going to make a decision. Sometimes it's hard to market company-owned properties and actually get a hold of the person you need to talk to. Over to the right of that, now does this absentee owner, remember they own the property, but they don't live here. Now, do I care if they live in state? Or do they live out of state? A lot of people assume that, hey, the furthest that they live from the property, potential motivation could go up. I'm going to just keep all here, and then I'm going to go ahead and apply filters. So as you can see, it really dropped my number down to 489. I can now take this list at this point and then put it in a direct mail marketing campaign. But I want to share with you a couple of other ways that you can really pinpoint these properties. I want to go over to the map view of this, and you do have the opportunity to go ahead and expand that map just to kind of get a better view of that. I'm going to scroll in or zoom in just a little bit here. And again, you'll see dots appear and change and so forth. One thing I want to point out is our neighborhoods. So you maybe want to target very specific neighborhoods. So if I click on neighborhoods here, it's going to load all the different neighborhoods that are within this area. Now, if I keep zooming in, you'll actually get to see the names of these very particular neighborhoods. So some investors want to stay away from some neighborhoods, and some investors really don't care. Just give me all the properties. You also have the ability to by school boundary. So I'm going to check high school. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit here. And some people just like to target very specific areas where school boundaries are. This is great for rehabbing properties. So you can see Hendersonville High School. If I were to click on that, it's got a B rating. I could now technically add all the properties just within the school boundary at this point if I were to click Add to List. Now, it would exclude the other properties that we have narrowed down, but you do have that capability. Another great feature is to be able to draw. So up here on the top, I'm going to click draw, and I can literally pinpoint every area that I specifically. Now, this is really fine tuning it. Now, you do have the ability to draw multiple different areas. Now, if you want to get down to the street level, say, hey, I really can't see exactly, what neighborhood that is and where that street is. So I can go in and specifically just draw out specific streets here. And again, I'm just using this as an example here, where as you can see, I have 0 selected because it doesn't fall within the filter criteria that I've already set. Okay, so I do want to make sure that those dots are going to be in those particular areas, but it's a great tool to really pinpoint very, very specific areas all the way down to the street level. So I'm going to zoom back out here just real quick, and you can see now that I've drawn my shape, you can see that the dots are highlighted purple, whereas the other dots are still fit in my filter criteria, but because now that I drew a shape, it excluded that from the list, which is very important because now my shape only has 34 potential leads that fall within those filters that I originally set. So you can really pinpoint exactly what you're looking for. But what I love about it is you don't miss out on all those other filtered properties. So it's not like you got to go back and refilter it if I decide to delete that shape, as an example. Now, you can go in and actually click on the dots here and get a little bit more information about these very specific properties, from the details to any tax information to mortgage information, transaction history, and a street view as well. Now, I may not want to just see the dots. I may want to see just the values. If I click the values, I could click equity dollars. I could click equity percentage, as well as if I wanted to go based off a tax percentage, just a different way to view how I'm looking at this. Okay, so now if I click off it, just go back to the dots. So now that I have my list here, one thing I do want to point out is, let me zoom out. Now, keep in mind, I only targeted Hendersonville. Now, I can go up and actually add another location here. Another great feature is if I hit the search by map, whatever's in my map view now will show up based on the filters that I've already set. You do have the ability to go back into your filters and change that. So just keep that in mind. And again, if you ever forget the medium home price, instead of going all the way back to the dashboard, you do have an area statistics here, and you could just click on that. And another thing is you could view the last 12 months of what's going on as well. So I'm just going to hide that. So if you do forget, what that number was, you can quickly access it right here. Now, if I uncheck that search by map, I'm going to go ahead and just stick with my original list. Now at this point, I'm going to move over to my actions button. Now, we've got some options here. Number one, you could select leads just on this page, which would be the first 50. We could select all 489 leads, which in this case I will, but you also have the ability to maybe select a certain number of leads. I don't need all 489, maybe I only want 300. You could do that as well. If you're going to order postcards through REIPro, you can actually enter in your budget, and we'll calculate how many leads you can get based on your budget, which is very nice. In this example, I'm just going to select all 489. Now we're going to move to the action number 2 here, which we want to add to a direct mail marketing campaign, or do we want to add them to our properties section, or we can export those leads. Now in this example, we're going to add to a marketing. So here you can go in and name your campaign, or you can actually add this list to an existing campaign that you've already set. So I'm just going to type in the name of this campaign just so I understand exactly what this is. And again, this is just for you. You can go into campaign type. This is going to help you if you order postcards, where we have certain postcards that favor certain lead types. So we could shortcut that for you. So if I go to absentee owner, it's going to put it in that particular campaign type. I'm going to go ahead and add selected leads here. So the leads were added successfully. Now what I want to do is actually go to my marketing section and order postcards. We need to send some direct mail out to find out, are you interested in selling your property? So here we're going to click on order postcards, and you could do other things here. You can print letters. You can run what we call list made, which is going to clean the list. We're going to have that opportunity as we order postcards. You could also do bulk skip tracing here as well. So you've got some options on how to market these owners. So I'm going to go in and say, okay, what workflow do we want? Do I want to send a postcard just one time? Maybe I want to send it 2 or 3 times, or do I want to send what's called a drip campaign? So maybe I don't want to send all 489 out. Maybe I only want to send 100 per week as an example until all 489 have been mailed out. So that's what a drip campaign would be. And that really works well when you have thousands of leads. We're going to do a single mailer. It's going to be one time. You do have the opportunity to put in a date where you want us to actually print and ship those out to you. All of our direct mail is done in-house. We do not hire any kind of third-party companies to take care of this. Everything is done in-house. Over to the right, you're going to see the order summary, so you can get an idea of what it's going to cost. If we are running a postcard discount sale, you can always put that in here as well. So I'm going to click continue. Now here you're going to have an opportunity to choose a postcard. As you can see, I've got 2 of the same. This is just me testing and uploading. But in your account, you'll see what's called absentee owner number 1 and all the way through number 6. Now, keep in mind, you do have the opportunity to upload your own custom postcards and use them as well, or you can use one of ours. And I'm going to just share with you what has worked best in the overall of the users, our own business, our coaching students, and so on. It's actually going to be this first one. So you can enlarge it and see it and flip the card over to get a little more. I would say number 2 is going to be this number 3 postcard. So there's a couple of ideas, but again, everybody looks at this stuff differently, right? So marketing is just testing. Send one out. If it doesn't work, send a different one out. And that's really the whole point. In this example, we're going to go ahead and select this particular card, which would be absentee owner number 1. And then I'm going to click continue. Here, we need to put how are these people going to contact us, right? So a lot of people will put a phone number, you'll put your domain. If you want to put an email, stuff like that, it really doesn't matter. But the 2 most important to me is going to be a phone number for people that want to pick up the phone and call, and the people that don't want to talk to anyone, they just want to investigate you a little bit more. You can put a website here. So as you can see, you can add and save contact information. That way you're not typing it out every single time. You do have the return address as well. Again, that would be optional for you. And if you want us to mail you a postcard, you could do that here at the very bottom. All you have to do is just click this, enter in your information, and we will mail one out to you. Over to the right, you're going to get a quick view of where that phone number is going to show, how my domain is going to be up there, and so forth. If all that looks good, we're going to click continue. Now, this is a review page. Make sure, you'd be surprised, make sure that your phone number, whatever contact information you put on this card is accurate and correct. Okay, before you proceed, you're going to check this I approve postcard front and back, and now we're going to continue. Now, this is what brings us to our list made service. Now, everybody knows not all tax assessors are going to be perfect, and they don't always match the United States Postal Service as far as how they address certain properties. And this is going to give us an opportunity to clean this list before we actually mail these out. You know, a lot of people say, man, you know, I sent out all these cards and I got a ton of return mail. Well, that's probably because you haven't cleaned the list. So we highly recommend that you do that. You can go ahead, any stored credit card, it is only 2 cents a lead. We're passing this cost on to you. And so we're going to let this run here for a second and clean that list before we continue. Now, keep in mind, we're going to have an opportunity to go correct some of these address errors. We're going to tell you exactly what the error is and get it corrected, and then we can get those shipped out. But out of all that, we only have 392 leads here. So although it may cost me $9 to have this list corrected, if you think about, I mean, that's almost 100 leads there that you would have sent out that would have had an issue. Okay, so if you multiply 100 times the cost of the postcard and the postage, you're throwing away a lot of money. Okay, so we highly recommend that you use this service. Once we go through that, we're going to go to continue. This is going to give us an opportunity to actually check out. And once you do that, you're going to get an email. We'll take you to a checkout screen, and then you could go back to your marketing area. You can actually monitor this. We do use the post office, so that you can, anytime they scan every card in your campaign, you're going to have the ability to check what dates each card got scanned. So for those of you that have to keep track of what's going on, you'll be able to do that in your marketing section. So that kind of wraps up. So we found some absentee owners. We filtered them down to our best buying criteria. We then built a marketing campaign to send some direct mail out. Again, you had some other options, skip trace and so forth. And now what we need to do is wait for that phone to ring, wait for somebody to go to our website or whatever, however they're going to contact you. So we can start putting deals together, find out these owner situations, completely change how you do real estate by marketing to these off-market properties where people are going through problems. They just don't tell anyone about it until you send them some marketing. So I hope this training video helped, and look forward to seeing you on the next one.